But again, every single one of these was focused on getting the sale. And I felt inside of me, this was somehow not the way to go about it.
Okay, okay, beautiful people, ladies and gentlemen, Madame and Messieurs, the one and only Michael Oliver. Let's make virtual applause for Michael, guys.
Thank you.
Good morning, Michael. How are you doing?
Good. Hi, Frans. Hi, Benjamin.
Happy to have you with us here today, Michael. And yeah, I know that you already know Franz and you and I have met as well, but I want to introduce you to our audience and everyone that's here today, as well as everyone who will be watching later on a recording. How can we best introduce you? And so I guess I can sort of share a little bit, but it's best to hear from the man himself. So Michael, I want to welcome you to today's webinar, and I'm excited to have you here because you've been a mentor for Franz and myself, both virtually as well as actually in person. And I really appreciate the time, energy, and effort you put into your natural selling methodology. And so overall, first, can you share a little bit about your journey in sales and your unique approach, natural selling?
Yeah, sure. Well, let's say I started back in 1980 selling solar energy systems in Southern California. And I was really good at it. I was selling apartment building solar energy systems, which were between about 7,500. My largest sale was 95,000, and I'd never resold before. I sold it in a way that everyone else used to sell it, which is basically using techniques, traditional techniques, and so on and so forth. And even though I made a lot of money out of it, it was just really uncomfortable. I hated having, quote, to deal with objections, rejection, all that kind of stuff, all the standard stuff. In fact, I used to ask other salespeople, say, how do we get around this? They said, well, you don't, you just go with it. But I always felt there had to be another way. And that's what I started working towards, finding out how to eliminate the friction that is caused by selling techniques, which is still being done today. 98% of sales training is still based on trying to get your message across and persuade someone to buy your stuff, which creates friction, just like this all the time. And I wanted to get so you create harmony like this. And so because I put out the message to the universe responded, and I started looking at a course on asking questions, which was put together by Larry Wilson. He was really good at the time. Well, still is very good, but it was still focused on getting the sale. So I went through a number of years, reading various books. Best book I ever read, well, actually the most interesting book I ever read was a book called The Closers. I mean, there's some real hardcore closing that's going on there. But anyway, you can learn a lot from other stuff if you have a different point of view and a different mindset. So I went through various places. I've got good, started looking at Neil Rackham, spin selling. But again, every single one of these was focused on getting the sale. And I felt inside of me, this was somehow not the way to go about it. And when I was training some trainees, I got asked by a company to go and train some salespeople one-on-one in the United Kingdom. And we used to drive up and down the United Kingdom going to these various appointments, which I had set up through a telemarketing company, which I put together. There, we used to do it one-on-one. I do the first appointment, they do the second, I do the third, and so on. And they'd always say to me, how come you got the easy ones? Which is kind of funny because I never got the easy ones. They were there.
I think that you touched on something there, and you mentioned how maybe these other salespeople were trying other methodologies or other approaches. Can you share for people who aren't already familiar with natural selling, what makes natural selling different from other sales methodologies?
It's basically using detachment, law of detachment. It's understanding how to get rid of. Look, I put a simple question to you, okay, and you answer it. Don't even think about the answer. Just come out with the first thing in your mind. If you start thinking about it, your logical, intellectual mind will try and take over. And the logical mind is an amazing servant, but it's a lousy master. Your subconscious is the master, and the thing is to start challenging your subconscious. Generally, depending on sort of what you want to do, but it's your subconscious which is controlling your life. And so the question is this, and answer it immediately. What's the purpose of a business, any business in the world? Now, what's the purpose of business?
To serve.
Yeah, it is.
To serve people.
Of course, yeah, because you probably picked that up because you understand my work. Most people would say to make a profit, make money, to get whatever it is they want. See, but that's nothing to do with purpose in life. That's an objective. That's a personal what's in it for me objective. And if you're a salesperson and you have that mentality that, you know, I'm going to get a sale today, or I'm going to get someone to do something, or I'm going to whatever it is, it's all on the what's in it for me objective, which is nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that, but it can get in the way with regards to talking with other people, because that's an energy. People pick up on that. They pick up on, before you even pick up the phone, they know whether you're in it for them or in it for you, just by the way that you're talking with them. There's a saying I say that, you know, the words you say give you away. And you don't know this necessarily, but I mean, I can have a conversation with someone within two or three sentences. I know where they are. Just by the words that they're using, I can tell whether they're in it for them or whether they're in it for the potential buyer.
Yeah, actually, we have Frans here in the room, who's one of your mentees and studied your methodology, and he works with different companies around the world. And I guess I'd like to extend this question to Frans. How have you seen the effects of natural selling on the teams that you train? And how has Michael's sales philosophy changed your approach and impacted your life?
It was incredible. And for the people here who don't know Michael, because I think maybe the nerds in sales, they know him, and also the people that will watch the recording, Michael is a living legend. You know, like everybody that goes a little bit deep into sales, then sooner or later will hear the name Michael Oliver. And
all roads lead back to Michael.
Yeah, and it's incredible, you know, and I understand why. Just reading a little bit of his book, I honestly, I resonate with what Michael said. You know, I was struggling with my business actually, because people knew me, they would buy from me because they knew me already. They knew me, they liked me, they trust me. But I was in a point where I was doing cold traffic, Facebook ads, and I was getting on call with people that were qualified, they had the money, and I would spend 2 hours explaining them all the details why my coaching was amazing. And I closed no calls. I think I did like 30 calls, 32 calls, no close. I think I cried, honestly. I was thinking to give up. And then I don't remember how, I think I found you in an interview, Michael. And this is why I'm so passionate about interviewing you, because hopefully someone else who needs you, who needs your message, will find you. And then we jump on the call, and I read the book. I started to use the principle, and literally like 48 hours later, I started closing deals, you know, and it was so powerful. And when you ask me, when I started to share those methodologies with other people, you know, we had people that they train with Jeremy Minor, they train with Cole Gordon. Later down the road, we're gonna do a little bit of controversy, guys, so listen, stay tuned. But basically, you know, I get people that were trained by, what's the name, the Jordan Belfort, you know, like straight line system. The guys that train in the natural selling and that I keep developing and train, these guys crush all those other sales people all the time, you know. So the impact was incredible and unbelievable. And yeah,
that's a fantastic testimonial, and something that I've seen reflected over my years in sales and on various teams that I've been in. Everyone who's been interacting with Michael and his natural sales methodology are finding significantly better results because they are naturally dissipating the sales resistance that gets built up on calls. Michael, can you share a little bit about, you know, you touched on a few of those core principles, but can you share a few more principles that differentiate, let's say, natural selling from other sales methodologies out there?
Well, it's the first two principles, which are really the primary ones. You know, a lot of people have copied material indirectly and directly. And some people claim it as their own. We can talk about that later if you want, which is sad, really. But you know, it's of the 5 principles, the first 2, the second 3 are really how to apply it, which is about asking questions, listening, and feeding back what you think you heard. And those, again, if you really want to dig in deep, you can get in from my ebook, which lays it out. It lays out the psychology. The book lays out the psychology as well as the neuroscience behind it, in as far as the supporting neuroscience. So this isn't just sort of woo stuff. This is stuff that really does happen at a deeper level. And so you've got the 5 different principles. One is about detachment. The other one is about purpose. The other is about asking the right types of questions at the right time, which is, you hear a lot of sales training about asking the right types of questions, but it's not just about the right types of questions. It's about knowing what to ask. And there are 7 different types of questions, which I outline on my course. In fact, I give the graph in the book. There's a graph in there which gives the 5 different stages of a natural selling conversation. And in there is the discovering stage, which has got 5 different questions. You don't have to ask them all. It's just a matter of understanding.
And so we will make sure that you have special links to buy the book and even to buy the course. Later, Michael, I guess, will tell us a little bit more about the audio course of natural selling, the art and science of selling with integrity. So yes, we will make sure to get you all the resources, guys.
Do you want to open it up to people's questions? Someone just said on the chat, is there a hard copy of the book available, a physical book? No, there isn't. It's an online book. But what I'm doing is I will make it available later on in the process of updating the book and putting it on Amazon. I'll also put an Audible copy of the book there. The course isn't Audible, but the book isn't. It's been out for quite some time and probably needs a little bit of touching up, as it were. We're all, we're all in a progress in our lives, and things are good to adjust. But there will be later. But the book itself is only $7. So if you want to get it, it'll give you the full background as to the psychology. It'll give you the 3 reasons why you get rejected and objections, and it'll give you the 5 principles and all the psychology and the supporting neuroscience behind it.
And Michael, it looks like you're passionate about answering the questions of the people here in the chat. Ben, but go ahead, maybe you want to.
Yeah, I guess let's get into questions in a little bit, but I guess the first question that I have now is, we've talked about the book, but besides the book, for salespeople looking to incorporate natural selling into their work, where should they start? And if you have any advice for people who are just starting their sales journey, what advice would you give people who are looking to become a salesperson and make this a career?
Well, if you want to get the whole spread, you can go to, I know it sounds like a plug, and it is a plug, but you can go to my website, which is naturalselling.com, and it's all laid out there, step by step as to what you can do. And it starts with the book. The book is important. I get people calling me wanting me to do one-on-one coaching with them, and I won't do it unless they have read the book, taken the course, taken action on the course, and have their natural selling scripting guideline all laid out. And the reason being is that we all need to read from the same page of the same book, so to speak. Some people say to me, well, I've taken one of your people who've copied your material, but I still don't quite get it. Can I do one-on-one? I said, no, I don't use other people's material, because the way they interpret it is different from where I'm coming from, which is pretty unique. I don't get it. I don't get sort of that whole aspect of it. But that's the biggest thing. It's about let go of getting the sale.
Michael, sorry to interrupt you. I see comments now that the people are sending, and they say, what a beautiful person Michael is. I feel that they are feeling your energy, and I feel, and I would love if you, I guess this is what you're saying, if you want to talk about it, that what those people who copy your material lacked, they couldn't copy the ethics, the ethos, the mystique. And I saw last time that we interviewed you for the other sales team, that you were able to transmit something special to people. It's like you could give them something that is not logical. It's like you embody those principles, those values. Like hearing this from you, I think this is why it changed me. I think people really received it in a special way. So I feel that some people, they copy the material, but they lack the heart. And this is why it's not the same. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, a lot is to do with integrity. We all interpret integrity in different ways. My interpretation of integrity is probably maybe different than yours. It doesn't really matter, but it's really about coming from that place of integrity and coming from that place of not trying to manipulate someone to do something, but they have to also be willing to want to learn that. There's a lot of stuff coming in the chat column here.
Yeah, there is so many questions, guys, that are coming up. Somebody is asking Michael if it would be possible to see you in action, if maybe in the future, if you want to organize another Somebody's asking, can we see Michael? I don't know, maybe a demo call, or if you have any recordings of some of your sales call would be interesting.
I don't have a huge amount. One of the things we're doing is ramping up the marketing. I don't do a lot of marketing as such. You know, the business sort of flows in, as it were, which is kind of nice place to be. But it's hard to do. Well, in fact, I've been doing some of it already. If you listen very carefully to how I'm replying to you, there's a sort of element in there. It's hard to do on a role play. I mean, role plays are great, but anyway, the answer is yeah, probably, but no, we don't have enough time.
No, not today, but maybe another time. Michael,
Yeah,
then we
try.
have the chat, and I'm sure you would prepare another cool question. I want to ask you something. Maybe later, I actually want to share on the screen the natural selling 5-stage framework, if you don't mind. Actually, I would even share the NAPQ because they're the same, just because I'm...
No, I'm not interested in...
Okay, but I would like to share your methodology, because maybe you can talk a little bit more about what it is and what people can learn in the course. But before that, I want to ask you this. We talk about the people that they weren't able to kind of extract the heart, the values of natural selling. But are there other people in the world of business or sales that actually you do like and admire? Do you feel that there are other people that are actually doing a good job, or maybe some of your inspirations? You mentioned Deepak Chopra, you mentioned a little bit like spin selling. I'm just curious, like, is there some people that you see out there today that you say, oh wow, these guys are doing a good job?
I don't know. I mean, it doesn't concern me. I mean,
Okay.
people like you will tell me things and so on and so forth, and I pick up names. You know, I don't know Carl Gordon. I hear his name all the time, and I hear it in relationship with what I do. I didn't train him; someone else trained him. Then he took off and started doing sales training, sort of using, you know, basically what I essentially came up with over 27 years ago. But it's sort of, I don't look upon anyone like that as competition. I don't think about that. The only person I'm competing with is myself. You know, working out how to get better each time, looking at things. You know, I'll read something somewhere and I'll go, wow, that's a nice phrase, and I'll look at seeing if I can embody it in my training or in my what I'm doing.
You know, Michael, because we talk about detachment, which I think is one of the most important things, one of the 5 principles, and I know that for some people might sound a little bit like a mystique or a little bit of a metaphysical thing, but I can testify that the best people that we train were the ones. One name come to mind, Tim. You know, my team knows him. This guy was really able to embody that. You know, he's really embodied that. He has a lot of values. And sometimes when we train people, they do everything right, you know, on a logical level, but they miss that. You know, they miss the detachment or something like this. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I look at sometimes people's scripts just to see where they are. And by the way, when I say scripts, I'm talking about guideline scripts. One of the things I don't believe in is scripts.
Beautiful.
You know, the reason I don't, and the reason I call it guideline scripts is that you use the scripting as a guideline, not as a script. And a lot of people are trained to use scripts and they just go through it 1, 2, 3. But the question comes up, is conversation linear? And the answer is what? No, it's non-linear. Therefore, why are you following a script? You know, you want to get an idea of what the different types of questions are and why you're asking them, and use them according to whatever the situation is. And each person is unique. You know, sometimes you'll use certain types of questions with one person, sometimes you use others. And it's really easy to work that out and to find and to understand how to do that. So I call them sort of guideline scripts as such, so you can move around.
We'll follow your material, and also we'll share you with other people, because it's really, you know, I think it's the source of transformation. Ben, anything you want to add?
I just want to say big thank you to Michael. Big thank you to all the people that are here on the call today. And I hope that we can carry on the natural selling legacy and share this new approach to the mindset and the heart set behind sales. That is something that's been really missing. And in this sort of new age of AI, as we're getting more and more disconnected from each other, I feel that getting on calls, talking with each other and really truly trying to empathize with the other person and do it not from your own self-interest, but do it from their self-interest. What will really help them to succeed? I feel as though this legacy is something that everyone here in this community, in our community on school, and I guess Frans and myself really want to continue on. So Michael, thank you so much for planting the seed that helped all of this to grow. And I hope that over the next few decades, you'll see more and more people trained in natural selling and sharing this new philosophy of sales with the world. So thank you so much, Michael. We owe so much to you and your approach to sales.